Inez. Well, a convicted killer who escaped from jail in Jersey 40 years ago will remain free even though the whole world knows where he is.
This is a wild story. George Wright, this is George Wright today, but 50 years ago he was sent to prison in New Jersey for killing a gas station attendant during an armed robbery. But in 1970, he escaped from Bayside State Prison, which was then in Leesburg, and he's been free ever since. Here's how. A few months after his prison escape, actually 2 years later, he successfully hijacked a Delta Airlines jet from Detroit to Miami, negotiated $1 million ransom, and then flew to Algeria, where they all got away. Now, just below that Channel 5 bug, you can make out a person. That's an FBI agent holding a big suitcase of money, and if you look really close, he's only wearing a bathing suit. The hijackers insisted that the FBI take off their clothes so they wouldn't be hiding weapons. They actually got away with this. Now, this man ultimately settled where, Rosanna?
Yeah, in Portugal. He met a woman there, raised a family there. Last year, U.S. task force tracked him down through fingerprints on a Portuguese government ID card that matched prints taken from the prison where he escaped.
Now, the U.S. has been seeking his extradition. He was arrested back in September. They want him to finish the remaining 22 years on his prison sentence for killing that gas station attendant. However, this week, the request was denied by the Portuguese government on the grounds that Wright is a Portuguese citizen and the statute of limitations has expired. So he is free, and now he wants to write a book and do a movie, perhaps. By the way, the daughter of the gas station attendant that he was involved in killing, still alive. Former federal prosecutor and immigration attorney Michael Wildes joins us. Sir, you've handled extradition cases before. This is incredible, isn't it?
Extraordinary. I mean, not just to the poor family that lost their father and their relative, but just think about that FBI agent who probably retired now and is thinking about that picture of him wearing a bathing suit going over to an airplane. I mean, the fact that a capital crime was committed and that they have not extradited this gentleman based on procedural breaches is just absurd. It's unconscionable.
Does it have anything to do with the statute of limitations? Or, I mean, the guy is now a citizen in Portugal.
It has everything to do with the convention that we entered into bilaterally in 1908 with Portugal. And there was Article 3 and Article 8, which basically said if the crime involves something political in nature, then you don't have to turn over your citizen. A different article that basically said that you don't have to subject yourself or turn over your subjects and your citizens to other countries if you're compelled to. Here he was a U.S. citizen, acquired citizenship through marriage in another country, and absconded. And one little fact, he actually stopped off in France too. The fact that every country here that involved and facilitated this hasn't had a commercial effect or hasn't been sanctioned in some fashion is remarkable.
By the way, he's lived what, by all accounts, is a fairly productive life in Portugal. Married, raised 2 kids, owned a business for a while, I think a barbecue shack, and nobody knew this about him. He was a member of the community. What about this? Could the U.S. just go in there and grab him? You know, at night. Is that illegal? Do we have any claim to bringing him back here?
I think the federal government...
Forcibly.
I think the federal government has a different agenda here. There was a statute of limitations that was missed. Whether it was purposefully missed or negligently missed, the bottom line is the federal government here will not be doing that. I think there's more at risk. The war on terrorism, the cooperation that you need with these countries, the man is infirmed, and truthfully, if you look at the facts here, and they're splitting hairs in Portugal, they're actually saying that he may have been an accomplice. He wasn't the trigger man. And they're using the fact that he hijacked the plane maybe for political reasons rather than committing a crime. It's just unbelievable, and I think the biggest truth is right now they're getting a debate between Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman playing him in a movie. This man is now looking, and his family, for movie and book rights.
It is a wild story.
So, okay, so is it over now for the U.S.? That's it? Our hands are clean, we can't grab them.
The government there made it clear, and our federal government made it clear also, which is remarkable because a capital crime occurred, and he will literally get away without murder.
I want to show that picture one more time of the Delta Airlines jet. Number one, he was dressed by the reports at the time as a priest when he boarded the plane as a disguise. And one of the arguments his lawyer waged to not have him extradited, he thought that his client would be killed by the FBI because he humiliated the FBI with this, by making them disrobe. It's kind of a ridiculous argument.
So he feared for his own safety.
Feared for his own safety because of this of this image, of the tactic used in 1970, seems a bit of a stretch.
Very far-fetched. And look, host countries can set the standards of extradition, but we live in a very small world, particularly with the internet and the way laws have evolved. The fact that they would allow this to happen and deteriorate this way means that there's a lot more in our relationship with those countries. Mind you, if this happened in another country, it would have a great effect on commerce and trade with that country.
Interesting. Now, you know, Michael usually doesn't try to extradite people. He tries to make immigrate people. His family worked on keeping John Lennon here.
My dad was John's immigration lawyer. I'm a second-generation immigration lawyer.
Is that right? Yeah, they wanted to kick him out for a while for some reason.
5 years, the Nixon administration tried to do something. And in another world, I was the mayor of Englewood, New Jersey, where we went to task with Gaddafi.
Right.
So I have a kind of a mixed brand, but I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Michael Wildes, our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're coming right back.